Hello and welcome to Spardha Lines, your one-stop destination for the civil services preparation, UPSC, KPSC and other relevant examination. Today we picked up a couple of important articles from the Hindu which are very significant from your UPSC and your KPSC examination point of view. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says Qatar court drops death penalty for 8 Indians. This article here is important from your GS paper 2, which is to do with the international relations. Let us understand what is this article in greater detail. This article here is speaking about the decision taken by the appellate court in Qatar, where it has actually gone about commuting the death sentence. What are we speaking about? Let me give you the background to this whole issue. There were about 8 Indians. These 8 Indians were working for one of the companies in Qatar. What was this company into? This company was into developing the shipments. It was also assisting the Navy of Qatar as well. So this particular company was mostly into developing the shipments. It was into development of the naval ships for the country of Qatar, and at the same time it also had few tie-ups with the Italian company as well. So what did the Indians do? These Indians were working for the Qatar based company, but there was an allegation that was made that since this particular company was involved in also making shipments for the Qatar Navy as well, some of the information was leaked, and as a result they were booked on the charges of espionage, because they were also part of building these naval shipments and also submarines as well. Some information was leaked, and that was the espionage charge that was enforced on these individuals, and ultimately the lower court in Qatar had imposed with the death penalty. Since these people were alleged of espionage charges, these people were ultimately brought under the law books. The court looked into this entire issue. Because the court felt that they were involved in the espionage charges, ultimately the lower court in Qatar imposed with the death penalty. So what did the lower court do? The lower court felt that these people were involved in the espionage. They may have leaked out some information to outside agencies because they were part of the building of the submarines as well as the naval ships. They felt they could have leaked out the information and ultimately held that these people are guilty of offense of espionage. So they have to be imposed with death penalty. So 8 Indians were imposed with death penalty by the lower court were in Qatar. Now, whenever there is a person from India who is under the law books of some other country, what would happen? The Indian mission immediately steps into the picture. What we will have is the embassy, the Indian embassy, the Indian consulate. They immediately step into the picture and they ensure that all legal aid is provided to the people who have been committing crime in another country. They might have committed a crime, they might not have committed a crime, there might be an allegation, and the minute they are booked under the local laws of another country, what we will have is the Indian mission, the Indian embassy, the Indian consulate immediately enter into the picture. So what did the Indian embassy do, or what did the Indian mission do? So the minute these 8 people were imposed with the death penalty by the lower court in Qatar, immediately the Indian mission took upon itself. It asked for the consular access and it also started providing legal aid as well. So because of the legal aid provided by the Indian mission to these 8 individuals who are from India now working in a company in Qatar, these individuals were provided the legal aid, and appellate court has now declared and has commuted the death sentence. So it is not death sentence right now, but then a punishment has been imposed on these individuals. So the lower court had imposed death penalty. Now legal aid mechanism was used by the Indian mission. They went up to the appellate court, and the appellate court has now commuted their sentences. So whenever there is a person who is from India who is arrested in a foreign national, the Indian mission will immediately provide legal aid to such individuals. That apart, we also have the government of India which will picture its diplomatic mission in place. So the back channel diplomacy will come into the picture. So you would have the foreign diplomats who will go speak to their counterparts, and ultimately they will try to reduce the punishment that has been imposed on such individuals. So apart from the legal aid, what else has been used in this case? What they have made use of is the diplomatic channels. So they make use of the embassy contacts, they make use of the foreign diplomats as well, and ultimately they will ensure that these people are convinced that such death penalty should not be imposed on the Indians. That apart, the Indian government had also put out a request of mercy plea with Amir of Qatar, who is known to give pardons during the Ramadan and Eid. They had also requested the king or the Amir of Qatar, the dear Amir of Qatar, yes, they may have committed. The government of India says we do not know that they have committed or not, but kindly look into this particular request and also provide them the mercy or give them the pardon so that they are not imposed with death penalty. So all the three options were exhausted by the government of India, and now the appellate court has commuted this death sentence. That apart, what we have to do is, whenever we take up a particular topic, for example it can be international relations or polity or economy whatsoever, we have to look at the larger canvas of this picture. This is one such reference that we have taken with respect to the Qatar. What about other instances that have happened elsewhere in another country? What if there is a person who is from India who's gone to United States of America, he is arrested there, or a person from India has got to European Union countries, he is arrested there. What happens in that particular case? What is the mechanism that immediately comes into the picture? How many people are arrested? What are the numbers that are present? If we look into the data, the number of individuals who are arrested, according to data by the Ministry of External Affairs, more than 1.3 crore non-resident Indians, over 1.8 crore persons of Indian origin, and as many as 3.2 crore people overseas Indians stay in as many as 210 countries. As many as 9,521 Indians are lodged in jails in 89 of the 210 countries where diaspora from India is based. More than 62% or almost 6,000 are lodged in the Middle East, followed by Asia. The highest number of Indian prisoners, 2,200, are in Saudi Arabia, followed by United Arab Emirates at 2,143. Qatar has 752 Indian prisoners. Kuwait has 410. Bahrain has 310. Oman has 135. So if we look into this data, it clearly points out that it is not only in Qatar, Indians are also present in prisons of another country as well. What happens when an Indian is imprisoned abroad? Immediately what would happen? You would have the embassy and the Indian consulate, they would request for a consular access. So they will make a request to that particular country, they will make a request to the government that yes, these people have been arrested because they might have violated the local laws of that particular country. So immediately these people will have to be given a legal aid, they will have to be given a legal representation. So consular access would be sought, and they would also elicit the information. They would ascertain the facts as well. What happened in this particular case? There is one side of the story that the prosecution will frame, the local laws and the police will also frame, but we have to elicit information from the Indian side. So the consular access would be provided, they will elicit all the information, ascertain whether these facts did actually occur, and immediately legal aid will be provided to them. And what will they do? Since these are with respect to the local laws, the Indian embassy and the consulate will already have few people who are aware of the local laws. They will have a legal team which they would have hired already. So this legal team will fight for the rights of these individuals as well as these Indians who have violated the laws of that home country. So the Indian consulate or the Indian embassy will seek for the consular access, make a request, ascertain the facts, and they will ensure that the local team present in that particular country is able to represent these individuals from India, and ultimately everything will be taken care by the Indian embassy as well as the Indian mission. This also points out that we have one of the programs called as the Indian Community Welfare Fund. So if at all a person is arrested, they need not have to spend anything from their hands, because we have the Indian Community Welfare Fund, out of which money would be taken and it will be paid for the legal expenses. And at the same time, the government also follows up the issue of release and repatriation. That apart, we would have entered into contracts with multiple countries. Not a contract, it would be a treaty, or it will be an agreement with couple of countries. What are these agreements? Let's say, for example, repatriation agreement. Let's say there is an individual of United States of America in India. So this person has violated the local laws of India, so he is imprisoned in India. Similarly, a person Indian is present in United States of America, so he has violated the local laws of United States of America and he is imprisoned. So what would happen? There will be exchange of these prisoners. What is this exchange? This person who is in India, a United States of America citizen, will be sent back to United States of America, and this person who is an Indian will be sent back to India at this particular exchange. But this person will have to serve the remaining jail term in their respective countries, and at the same time, for the remaining period, let's say they've already finished 1 year, the imprisonment term is for about 3 years. Since this person has already fulfilled 1 year jail term, remaining is 2 years, these 2 years will be fulfilled in India. So since 2014, 4,597 Indian nationals have received pardon or reduction of their sentences by foreign governments due to efforts of the Indian government through various channels, and one such channel is the repatriation. So the government of India might have entered into a treaty with these countries, and ultimately they ensure that this person is repatriated back, or there are exchange treaties that are present, and ultimately these people are also provided some kind of justice and they don't have to be present in that particular country. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article here says despair in distress. What is this despair in distress all about? The article primarily focuses on two issues. One is individuals from India who are going to another country through illegal channels of migration, first part. Second is about asylum that has been sought by Indians in France. First, let us consider the first aspect, where there is illegal immigration that is taking place from India to outside the country. What happens? There is a lot of distress in the home country. For example, it can be India or it can be any other country for that matter. Let's say people are not able to get job opportunities, or there are undue stress that is present in that particular country. Despite all the chances that they have taken, they have still not been able to uplift their chances of living a normal life. In that particular case, what do? They look for greener pastures, or they look for better opportunities elsewhere. In a similar instance, few people from India, they were in distress in our country, so they were looking for a better job opportunities elsewhere. If at all, people have to go to better countries. For example, for Indians, it is mostly United States of America, because they feel United States of America is a land of opportunities. But if at all you're going through the legal channels, it will take a lot of time, because getting visa or support from United States of America statutory or institutional provisions will take a lot of time. And what is that I have to do? Instead of waiting for years and years, for 5 years or 6 years, so on and so forth, what do? I actually embark on a journey in an illegal way, because people are in distress in their homeland, because they do not have better opportunities. They start moving elsewhere as well. So in a recent incident, there were people who were going to Nicaragua. Why? That is because they felt that if at all they go to this Latin American country, from that Central American country, they would be able to take the path of walking ahead to United States of America through the illegal migration. So as they were in the flight to reach Nicaragua, there were reports that were garnered, and ultimately they were stopped in France, and in France these people were asked to go back to the country, because they did get the information, the local police did get the information that there were trafficking that was taking place. So these Indians who were traveling to Nicaragua, stopover was in France, and these people, some of them were sent back to India, and few of them also sought asylum in France. So the first thing that we have to understand is, why were these people going to Nicaragua? That is because Nicaragua happens to be a Central American country. From Central American country, what do you have? You have land connection that happens to Mexico, and from Mexico to United States of America, and from United States of America they also wanted to go to Canada as well. So what did they want to do? They wanted to first land in Nicaragua and ultimately take a land route and enter United States of America illegally. So the point that we have to understand is we have a term called as the donkey route. What is this donkey route? Donkey route nothing but is illegal migration. For example, if you see the Hindi word donkey, it stands for donkey. So it basically means donkey route is nothing but donkey. So this means that they have taken illegal chances. They have taken illegal migration crossing. It means that they have taken border crossing which is not legitimate, where permissions have not been taken. So crossing of the boundary of another country with multiple stopovers to enter another country illegally is what is called as donkey trade. It is also called as, which is also called as donkey route. Why is this called as donkey route? That is because it is not legitimate. It is because there is no sanction of the government in this particular case. So all the illegal migration that takes place with multiple stopovers, so they are not entering the country directly through the legal channels, but they are entering another country through illegal channels, that is through multiple stopovers. Here they wanted to enter United States of America. They could have not directly entered United States of America because they did not get the permission. So what do? They travel in an alternate way. So they first go to Nicaragua, and from Nicaragua to another country, from there to United States of America through illegal channels, which is what is called as the process of donkey route. If we speak about donkey route, what is the position that we have to look into? When we look at the donkey route, what happens? There are large number of people who take this particular route. So there is something called as the Darien Gap. So once they come to Colombia, they pass through this particular area of Darien Gap and they enter Panama, and from Panama they enter Mexico, and from Mexico they enter United States of America. This can be very, very important from your preliminary examination point of view. So where is this Darien Gap? This happens to be a region. It is a forest region where people will start entering from Colombia. They ultimately move into this Darien Gap, which is a region between Panama as well as Colombia, and ultimately they enter the Panama and then move on to United States of America. This region is also known for thick forest region, and this region is also known for venomous snakes as well. Many people while passing from Colombia to Panama have passed away, and at the same time lot of dacoit activities also take place, and it is the risk that people are taking. Many people have been killed, they have been lynched, their properties have been taken over, their movable properties have been taken over. In fact, women have also been subjected to grave sexual assaults as well. So this donkey route starts with reaching a Latin American country like Ecuador, Bolivia, Guyana, where Indian citizens can get visa on arrival, and some agents also arrange direct visas for Mexico from Dubai. Because these countries do not have stringent rules, they get visas on arrival. They do make use of legal loopholes as well. That is why they pick up these Central American countries and ultimately make sure that they move to these countries and make a head to United States of America. From Latin America, most agents take their claims to Colombia, which is closer to the US border than Panama. From Colombia, the migrants enter Panama through dangerous forest called as Darien Gap, which separates Colombia and Panama. This forest has no roads or bridges, is home to wild animals like jaguars and anacondas. The migrants also face robbery and rape by criminal gangs in this region. So once they move apart and they happen to enter United States of America, their so-called golden dream ultimately comes into reality, is what these illegal migrants think. If you look into the last few years, what we are witnessing is unprecedented rise in the number of Indians traveling to United States of America through illegal channels. Despite the risk of detainment or even death, the US Customs and Border Protection authorities encountered an unprecedented 96,917 undocumented Indian immigrants in 2020-23, and this numbers a decade ago was about 1,500. So today we have more than 90,000 people who have been taking this route to enter United States of America illegally. Now the question is, why do they do this? That is because they do not have the job opportunities. That is what they feel in India. and if at all they take the legal immigration channel route, they have to wait for long number of years, which they do not want. Some of them also feel that there is religious and political persecution, that is why they are taking up the illegal migration. And many of them look up at the greener pastures. They feel United States of America as their dreamland. They want to make quick money and also want to live a prosperous life, which is why they take up this route of illegal migration. This is one part. The other part is many Indians, as they wanted to go to Nicaragua, they were stopover in France. In France, they felt that there was illegal trafficking. So some of them were sent back to India and some of them also sought asylum in France. So why did they seek asylum in France? That is because when you look at the laws as of now, France would provide as much as 300 euros a month, which is why they have also sought asylum. And at the same time, in France, they will be providing housing, they would be provided cheap meals as well. There are free health insurance programs and social security benefits, for example free education. Then they would also be provided free health insurance. Because of all these opportunities and features that are provided to these asylum seekers, that is why some of them also wanted to go back to France and stay there in France as well. But to remember, this is for a temporary period. But France is coming up with a new law, which means that according to the new law, there will be longer wait for the non-EU migrants to get welfare schemes and programs. These medical care access, that is free health insurance programs, will not be provided in the near future. Asylum seekers can be detained as well. In case there are any of these asylum seekers who go on to hit the police officers, or they become grave threat to the law and order problem, they can be detained and can be thrown behind bars, and there will be tougher citizenship rules, which means that in case there are people who have been in France for a very long period of time, and if these people have been given the asylum, they go on to have children in the near future. These children will be given citizenship only after they have turned 16 years. So they have to sort for it as well. But do note, this is yet not into practice. So what will happen? This bill will be presented to the Constitutional Council. If at all it accepts, that is when the President Macron will be able to give assent to it. It will eventually become the law. As of now, it looks like the security measure, as of now, the social security measures and benefits are being given. But if at all this law comes into reality, it is going to be a far bigger dream, and it will not be easy to get the citizenship, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Houthi attacks a threat to global shipping. What is this article all about? This article here is speaking about drone attacks that have been taking place along the Red Sea. We did discuss recently in our daily current affairs discussion that Red Sea happens to be one of the important areas. We also looked at Gulf of Aden. We also looked at Bab el-Mandab, where you have number of shipments that come through the Red Sea, which ultimately connects to the Arabian Sea. And this happens to be one of those regions where a lot of trade activities does take place. Recently, we had one of the ships called as MV Chem Pluto, which happens to be a Liberian flag Japanese owned Netherlands operated chemical tanker. It had started its journey carrying crude from Al Jubail, Saudi Arabia, and was expected to arrive in New Delhi on New Mangalore on December 25th. But this ship was attacked by a drone. These drone attacks, as per the initial information that we have had, it says that United States of America says that this drone attack happened from Iran. Similar such instances happened earlier where shipments from India and shipments from any other country were also attacked by the Houthis. Now the question is, why are the Houthis attacking these shipments? The answer to this is because it feels that all those ships which has its base from Israel, or if they have a partner whose company is involved in this particular shipment which happens to be from Israel, in that case the Houthis are bound to attack, say, the Houthis. Why? That is because Israel has been conducting aggressive acts in Gaza where many people have been killed. So according to the Houthis, in case there is any Israeli shipment or this particular ship has a partner in the form of Israel, in that case they will continue to launch drone attack in all these shipments. So a likely reason that the tanker was targeted is its Israeli affiliation. Its operator, Amsterdam based Ace Quantum Chemical Tankers, is jointly owned by Israeli billionaire Eden Offer. Since this happened to be a shipment of Israel which is why they have attacked it. Now the question is, what is the likely impact? So this will have the impact not only on India, but this will significantly impact other countries as well. What is the first significant impact? This basically means that whenever there is a particular country that is making a route through the Red Sea, it obviously means it is taking this particular channel. So what happens? It is this channel that is currently being taken to ultimately reach couple of countries like India or any other country. What if there is a fuel that is being sent from Rotterdam? If it is this particular channel that is being taken, it is cheaper. Why? That is because it is taking a lesser route, and at the same time this is not a long route as well. So if it is not a long route, then obviously there will be saving of the fuel. Why? Because if the ship has to go all the way via the Cape Channel, in that particular case it is a long route that it's taking, so the amount of time that it takes is also increasing over a period of time, and the amount of fuel that it is spending is also far in excess. So because it is taking a larger period of time to move the shipment from Europe to Asia, and at the same time it is also time consuming process. If at all the ship is moving, it also has to consume the fuel. So this ultimately means that there will be a long delay, the fuel expenses will increase, and this will be in the form of increasing other products. For example, if at all it has to bring a particular product to, let's say, India or to any other country, let's say it is costing about 10 rupees. Now the amount of time that is spent or the amount of fuel that is spent is far in excess because it is taking an alternative route. This ultimately means these shipments cost will increase, and when the shipment cost will increase, it will have indirect effects on every other sector. For example, if fuel is being exported from Europe to these countries, this will obviously mean fuel charges will increase, insurance charges will increase. Now if there is an agricultural product that has to be exported or imported, this will also start increasing, and ultimately everything will start falling down, everything will start increasing. This will have a direct repercussion. Similarly, if at all there is a channel that is being taken from New York City to San Francisco, this is the route that they take through the Panama Channel, but right now Panama Channel is dry, there is drought-like conditions, they do not have enough water. So if at all there is a particular shipment that has to go, it will go all the way from New York to San Francisco and ultimately take this particular route. If at all they are taking such routes, what is the major problem? The major problem is that the cost of transport of a particular good or the fuel will increase. So if at all the cost of transferring this good increases, this will ultimately have direct incidence on the Indian agricultural products, where export of the products will become costlier, import of a certain product will become costlier, and inflation will also start skyrocketing as well. And meanwhile, the global shipping firms have also begun imposing war risk surcharges over and above the normal freight charges, since they have increased their prices as well. The cost of the product will increase, where countries will start feeling the heat of inflation. In order to avoid it, we have one of the operations that have been initiated by the United States of America called as Operation Prosperity Guardian, where it wants to thwart the Houthi attacks. This operation will see joint participation of UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles and Spain, and this also has many other countries which are part of it, but they do not want to be named. So in order to prevent these drone attacks, many countries have taken their call. That apart, we also have the Indian Navy as well as the Coastal Guard, which have also increased their presence and surveillance in the region. So what will they do? Whenever there is a shipment that is being carried, what you will have is a shipments of the Indian Navy as well as the Indian Coastal Guard. Similar is the Operation Prosperity Guardian, where if at all there is shipment that is moving, what you will have is other naval ships that will be present. They will provide security and umbrella protection, and at the same time we will also have the Indian Navy, which is continuously deployed at least one ship on anti-piracy patrol, and we also have Indian Navy's Information Fusion Center for Indian Ocean region located in Gurugram, which is actively monitoring the region and coordinating with couple of other countries. These are the measures that have been taken in order to ensure that we do not have significant impact on the global economy. Now let's look into the next article. This article says, is Pegasus spyware targeting journalists in India? We have discussed this article couple of times, but what we have to look into is one of the concept called as the zero click exploit. What is this zero click exploit? Whenever there is hacking that takes place, or for example, there is illegal targeting of a particular person by a phone or a laptop, we have something called as a link that is generated. Let's say you get a message on your phone, or they send you a message on your WhatsApp, or they send you a message on your email. What would this email have, or what would this message have? This message will be like an authenticate one. You would have your SBI messages that you would receive, you would have your bank messages that you will receive, you would have messages from Flipkart, Amazon, so on and so forth. So the minute you look into this email, you will feel that this is exactly from the authenticate or the right sources. So what would happen? You will feel that this is from an authenticate company, and you would click on the link given in the email or the message. So the minute you click on this link, it will take you and it will take away all your personal information. But this is where you click the link. But there is something called as the zero click exploit, which means you do not click anywhere, but despite you not clicking anywhere, they are still able to access a certain communication because there is a loophole in that particular software. For example, WhatsApp as a software, it is a software or it is an application. So this basically means there is a set of code algorithms that are written. This code or the program or the code that is written will have a bug in it. What is a bug? It is a loophole that is present in a particular application. We might not know about it, but a hacker will know about it. So he will try and understand what is this bug or the loophole that is present in that application. He will enter that particular software or the application making use of this loophole. So despite you not clicking, me not clicking, or another individual not clicking a link, a hacker would still be able to access your WhatsApp messages or your messages on your phone because there is a bug or a loophole in that particular software or an application, which is called as a zero click exploit. So you might have not clicked a link, you might have not opened a message. Despite you not doing it, there can be hacking that can take place because there is a bug or a loophole which is present in the application, which the hacker might have understood, and even you need not have to click that particular one, which is what is called as the zero click exploit. Now let's look into the next article. This article is about Cong.Foundation Day. It is very important from your preliminary examination point of view. So the Indian National Congress was founded by English bureaucrat Alan Octavian Hume, who advocated for greater self-governance and not independence for the people of India during the 1880s. So on December 28, 1885, 72 social reformers, journalists, lawyers congregated for the first session of the Indian National Congress at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College, Bombay. So when was the Congress installed? When was the Congress started? The Indian National Congress was started back in the year 1885. When? On December 28. So every year on December 28, 1885, the Indian National Congress celebrates what is called as the Foundation Day. At that particular moment in the 1880s, the aim of the Indian National Congress was not to seek independence, but it was to influence the British policies in favor of Indians. Its objective is described as providing a safety valve through which Indians could air out their grievances and frustration. So the initial objective was not to ensure that the independence happens for India, the British leave the India, but it was for making sure that we are able to put out our grievances to the British, tell them that these are the issues that we have, and ultimately get some discounts back then during the 1880s, which is what is the Cong.Foundation Day. Now let's look into the next article. This article says, change in government can't alter decision on probe in cases of swindling public money. What is this article in brief gist? In brief, what this article says is, let's say for example, there is a person. This person has been accused of committing an act illegally that is involved in corruption, and when there was a previous government in place, there were laws that were created, there were rules that were created, and because of the rules and the regulations and the laws, this person was subjected to penalty and this person was subjected to prosecution. Now there is a new government. The new government comes over, brings about new rules and regulations. Does it mean that because of the new rules and regulations, this person who was previously convicted will not be convicted right now? No. That is because whatever has been held previously, the same laws and rules will be applicable. Just because there is a change of government, just because there has been new rules that have been framed, this person cannot take the leisure under this particular new law is what is this article all about. So basically, change of governments does not mean that whenever there is change of rules and regulations, the person imposed with penalty will still have to go through it. New rules does not allow him to take shelter under the new rules, and it will only be prospective and not retrospective is what is this article all about. It is this that you have to understand with respect to this article. If you are liking these initiatives, please to hit on the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also share it with your fellow aspirants as well. This is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.